Well, so far, Alex, it's going just as I predicted. I said that when they announced they were going to buy $1 trillion of debt, $300 billion in Treasury bonds and $700 billion in mortgage bonds, I said, well, that's monetization, and that's going to drive up the interest rates, drive down the bond prices. And lo and behold, it's exactly what's happened. Interest rates have risen on the Treasuries, and the prices, which is the reverse of that, have gone down.
And it's harder to get a home.
And so what Geithner thought, or Bernanke, all of them thought, was that, hey, we can drive down interest rates by buying these bonds. But instead, they've gone up. And so I would imagine as the Fed buys up more of the bonds they're issuing to finance this year's budget deficit, the interest rates are going to rise higher. And so then they're faced with, what do we do about the real estate crisis? The rates are rising. How does that help? It doesn't help. See what I'm saying? It hurts. And so I think that's what I say, that they're creating more problems than they can manage, and they will be devoured by the problems. Their power will be devoured, and of course, Americans will suffer due to the rising inflation and interest rates, which will be together with unemployment.
Dr. Paul Craig Roberts got a break again. Come back and continue explaining that to people. Yeah, I mean, they supposedly all these trillions in TARP money, but now it's harder to get a mortgage. They're using the money to buy up other banks and insurance companies and having the government come in and order banks in their activities. We'll talk about the whole Bank of America scandal when we get back with Dr. Paul Craig Roberts. I'm Alex Jones. But right now I want to shift gears, and one of the other big subjects he talks about, the police state. And again, he's a real conservative, father of Reaganomics, but we've had police shooting people in handcuffs in the back and then trying to claim they attacked them, and then hidden camera stuff gets released and they just shoot the guy for no reason. We have police shooting people's little dogs all over the news. When they come to your house now and the Chihuahua barks, they kill it, saying it was a threat to the officers, literally. And we've got the military and the police training everywhere. The TSA announced in the Associated Press yesterday that in Boston and New York, everyone will be searched, and everyone, I don't know how they're going to do this, but it says everyone, will be put through those body scanners, that are called, the naked scanners in the news that show your body, and that the FBI wants them to set up TSA-style security at America's biggest malls. And your book, The Tyranny of Good Intentions, I don't think it really is even good intentions, but it tells all these amazing stories and how the Bill of Rights is being abolished. The second edition's out right now, brand new. We got it up on screen for folks. And in the few minutes we got left in this little short segment, I mean, it looks like it's premeditated here as they implode the economy, and they've set up Northcom now, and they say they're going to use Army troops on us. But I don't see that working as society continues to implode. Can you speak to that?
Well, I mean, first of all, this couldn't possibly have anything to do with terrorists, because they haven't bombed any subways or any shopping centers. And as far as we can tell, the only terrorists that have been uncovered in the United States are people that the FBI stirred up and led and talked into doing things with promises of large sums of money. So since there aren't any terrorists and the FBI has to go out and find really incompetent and somewhat unintelligent people to bribe with money to say that they want to go be a terrorist, then we're not under any attack, so there's no reason for any of this body scanning other than to further make the American people accept searches without warrants, because that's basically what they're doing to you. They're searching you without a warrant. Now, the claim on the air
yes, sir.
Travel is that, but you see, if you don't want to be searched, you don't have to fly. And if since flying is so vulnerable, you're up in the air, and we can't have anybody a danger to the other passengers. Well, of course, going to malls is not that kind of argument at all. There's nobody up in the air. There's no vulnerabilities other than what you would find from being mugged or hit by a car or anything else when you go out. And so there's no special vulnerabilities. And so it has nothing to do with anything except training us to be good little citizens of a police state. Oh, yes, see, the next thing they will do then is say we have to have implants so they'll know where we are at all times.
They're already proposing that. The Mexican Attorney General made his employees take them 3 years ago.
Well, I don't know what's behind all this other than just bureaucracy running amok. I mean, we can look for conspiracies, but the trouble I always have with all these conspiracies is that it assumes that they're so much smarter than they ever show any signs of being.
I don't think they're even that smart. They have the instinct of control freaks.
Okay, they just, it's a bureaucracy that always wants more power. And
well, of course.
So if technology presents new opportunities, then they seize it and they use it. But I suppose people, if the American people were clued in, which unfortunately not very many of them are, they all need to listen to your show. But if they were clued in, then they could just boycott the malls. And then the malls...
And the subways and the rest of it.
Subways. You don't have to use... Subways is kind of harder, I guess, for New Yorkers, because they got to be able to get around in a city that's... But you could certainly boycott the malls, and then that would contribute to the commercial real estate collapse, and people would probably make the government back off.
Well, as you know, sir, they've done studies. A lot of people don't fly now because they don't like having the illegal aliens that run security jab them and scream at them. I want to ask you about the MIAC and DHS reports we broke a few months ago, listing conservatives and people as terrorists and the whole In the Fed movement, where you see that going with auditing the Fed. Stay with us, sir.